Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Joey. You're watching Vegas D-Tech. How you guys doing today? I hope you're doing better than me. Man, today it's been about 115 degrees. At least that's what it said when I got out of work and I stepped into my car. More like around 112, 113, man, and I do not understand this weather. I mean, here we are, what, the 5th of September, and the median temperature in Vegas is supposed to be around 95. And we are still in the triple-digit teens. I have no idea what's going on, man, but it's just ridiculous. I'm ready for this heat to go away because it's getting to be so difficult to get motivated to come outside and try to do these walk and talks, which I want to do. But today, guys, I have a good one for you. I've been really working, trying to collaborate with some people to help me gather this information for you, and it's concerning the water diversion that I'm hearing that's happening up at the Rockies, you know, before the water ever gets to the Colorado, because there's three issues that I take into consideration when I think about why is the water low in the river. One, are we allocating more water? Is somebody asking for more water? Are we giving away more water? And the answer is no. Now, are we using more water than we should based on what's in the river right now? Yeah, that's probably something that can be debated. But is anybody getting more water? No. Climate change. Is there really some climate change going on? Is more water evaporating? Are we just in a humongous drought that's causing this situation? That can also be debated. You know, some people believe in climate change, some people don't. But the third and foremost here is the actual level that's in the actual water system. And I want to know how much of this water that is in the system, how much of it is being controlled by man, you know? And I did not know. I've been asking some people that actually live up in the Colorado area to tell me, what does it look like from the very beginning, where the Colorado River starts? You know, what does the water look like up there? And so I went up and had some people make some videos, and I'm going to link a video that I watched just recently. The link will be down in the description. Individual went up there with his little daughter to the very top of the Rockies, man, right at the Continental Divide is what they call it, right? So he goes all the way up to the Continental Divide, basically like GPS perfect. He's up where the Colorado River actually starts, where it actually begins. And on one end, there's like a dirt road. I'm going to show it to you. On one end of the dirt road, there's a ditch. The water is actually flowing the opposite way because it's man-made. It's called the Grand Ditch. They made this river system, they made this ditch system in the 1800s to roll the opposite direction, okay? Engineered to do so to provide water to go to the opposite side of the mountain. Because as it is right now, as the snow falls on the Rockies, 80% of the snowpack lies on the western slope. 20% of it lies on the eastern slope. Now, that being as it may, more people live on the eastern side than the western side. So they need to somehow divert some of that water back over to the people because more people live on that side of the mountain. So they made this Grand Ditch system that runs all along the ridge, and 40% of the initial snowpack that's melted actually gets caught and is diverted back over to the eastern slope. Now, you would think that if 40% is already being caught in this one river, right across the actual dirt road is where the Colorado starts. Any water that lands in that system right there flows the opposite way and should be heading towards the Colorado. But as in this picture that you're being shown right here, and a clip, even the little teeny brooks and creeks that are flowing into the Colorado side heading west, that stuff is being diverted at the very source point and being brought underneath the road and dumped back into the river flowing to the east. And I was just like, wow. Just take a look at this right here. So you have diversions happening at the very source of the actual river system. So on one side of this dirt road, it's called the Grand Ditch. The Grand Ditch is flowing from the west to the east, and that's been engineered to do it that way, okay? On the other side of the road is where the Colorado starts to flow, and it flows from the east to the west, and that's the natural flow of the water. Now, to begin with, 40% of the water is already being forced to flow over the mountain back to the east. Now, you would think that whatever water is left that is being allowed to flow back the other way down the Colorado should be headed towards the river, but it never has a chance to actually get there. Why? Because the water is actually caught, and it stores up. The water collects, all the little creeks, the brooks, and all the little tributaries, they collect at the very first reservoir junction, but that first reservoir collects the water, and that would be water that's supposed to flow towards the Colorado, but it never gets a chance to go there, because once again, that water is being collected and it's being diverted through a tunnel system called the Alva B. Adams water tunnels, and they are a tunnel system that goes, I believe, 13 miles through the mountains back over to the east for the water before it even has a chance. This is water that was already melting and heading back towards the Colorado to the west, and this is the second time the water's been caught, and it's being sent back to the mountains, back to the east. Okay. Now, guys, I tell you, I'm nobody to get involved in state debates and so forth, and I realize that many of the people in Colorado, they believe that the Rockies, all the water that comes off the Rockies belongs to Colorado. It's Colorado first. And as you can see, man, everybody wants their share of the water. But it's crazy to think that before the water even has a chance to make it to where it's got to go in the river systems, that it's already being diverted from its source. So, okay, the Bureau of Reclamation controls that Alva B. Adams water tunnel. It was a water tunnel that was bored and drilled for 13 miles and diverts captured water that was already headed towards the Colorado and diverts it back over to the eastern slope. Now, guys, I tell you, whenever we talk about the water levels in the Colorado not being where they need to be, we keep on thinking that this is the natural flow of water, natural water melt that is headed towards the east, the west coast, but it's just not true, because before any of that water can even be metered to flow out towards the west, you've already got the people up there on the eastern slope and the western slope of the Rockies. They're already fighting for who gets the water, who needs the water. Now, the water situation back in the 20s, when all of these water rights were being written up, I know there weren't nearly the population nor the agriculture in Denver, in Colorado, as there is today. And now, being that the population and the need for water is so much higher, water is already being diverted before it ever gets down to the Colorado. Now, guys, this is where I always say that this stuff seems like it's been planned, you know? Because for the last 20 years, there's an archive at Lake Mead. That archive is the walls. You could just see 182 feet of water has been dropping and dropping and dropping over the past 20 years. Nothing's been done about it. And even to this point, where we are literally 30 to 40 feet away from a Deadpool situation, there's still no plan in place to stop it from happening. So I keep thinking to myself, is this stuff just planned? You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, the Bureau of Reclamation, they have their hands on the lever. They can throttle the water. More water go to the Colorado, less water go to the Colorado. Why? Because they got these diversion tunnels that capture the water before it ever gets a chance to head where it's got to go. So it's not natural flow, snowpack melt. The water is not naturally flowing the way it needs to flow. It's being captured and diverted before it ever have a chance to come out. So I keep asking myself, guys, all these problems that we're hearing with the water shortage and, the dams being low, the lakes being low, how much of it is because of overuse of water? How much of it is because of actual climate change and it being hotter, which it is? And how much of it is because you've got man already at the source diverting water before it even has a chance to head in the direction that it's supposed to head to? And that's really a question that maybe you guys could answer for me, because I don't have the answers for that. I mean, it's not my place to tell somebody in a state what to do, you know, with their water, because I mean, it's true. The Rockies are located in Colorado. And I guess not, you know, possession's 9/10 the law. Whatever comes off that mountain, I guess belongs to Colorado first, but how much water does one state need? You know what I mean? And does the needs of 7 or 8 other states out west, what is the balance here? How do they balance how much water flows to the east side of that mountain and how much of it flows to the west, to where all these other 7 and 8 states that are trying to fight for survival, how much water do they get? And I tell you, the Bureau of Reclamation, they have their hands in, they know what's up. I know, and I keep on thinking they're allowing this stuff to happen, dude, because for 20 years now, this water has been going down, 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 and they've had the ability to stop this all this time, and they haven't. And right now, they still don't have they still don't have a plan in place. And I think they're just going to let this thing dwindle all the way down to zero. Now, guys, they play around with these water flows every day. I look at the water level at Lake Mead, and it goes up and down a foot. Maybe because of the rain, it goes up 3 feet, this and that. But these guys are playing musical chairs with the water flows. All they do to spike up the level of water in one area is they just release it from another dam to flow into this dam. And then it's like they take a reading, oh, we're on the rise over here. But they're only on the rise because another lake level or dam has dropped its level down to spike this level up. And then the same thing will happen. They'll go ahead and tell that level to have another reservoir above them release their water to bring this level up. But then their level may be low. So instead of taking a reading across all of the dams and giving you a combined measurement between all the dams, you're only getting a measurement from one dam at a time. And I don't know how that is beneficial or useful to anybody when it's just a situation of musical chairs where they're just shuffling water around from here to here to here. But what say you? What do you guys think about the situation with the water being controlled from its source? Okay, the Bureau of Reclamation already has the diversion system set up before not 1 gallon of water ever heads towards the Colorado. They've already got implements in place for them to be able to take that water, capture it, and relocate it and shoot it across. Again, like I said, they already have the Grand Ditch, which was engineered to flow the opposite way. The Grand Ditch flows one way, right across the dirt road, you got the Colorado flowing the other. Could you imagine seeing 2 rivers? One river flowing this way, one river flowing this way. Well, that's how it is at the very start of the Colorado River. Okay, so they already have that in place. And then any of the water that I felt was naturally flowing and heading towards the Colorado, that's being caught up at the very first reservoir. And at that reservoir, it's being taken, sucked up, pumped through 13 miles through the Alva B. Adams corridor piping across the mountains again. So it looks like water flows towards the money. Whoever has the money gets the initial water flow. And I'm wondering, this water flow right here, at what point do they start measuring it? Is it before the people already have started taking the water and diverting the water from the very top? Do they start measuring the water at that point? Or do they start measuring the water from the very first second that the water flows into a reservoir and is captured? I don't know where they're starting to measure the flow. The inflows, the outflows, the levels, it's all manipulated, man. You know, I never knew that the Bureau of Reclamation was taking water that was naturally flowing in one direction, which should be Colorado water, and it never gets to see that because all that water is being captured and redistributed and directed back towards the other side of the mountain. Could this be part of the problem? Could this have been part of the problem for over 20 years? More population is growing in Colorado, more people in Denver, more agriculture, more farming, requiring more of the water, initial water. So more of that water that should have been going towards the Colorado is being captured and redirected back across the eastern slope. So right now, you've already got a fight in Colorado between people that are on the west side of the Rockies and the east side of the Rockies. Both sides are fighting for their share of the water, let alone all the people along the Colorado River down below, and all the states that are fighting for their cuts. So guys, it is just a big debacle and a nightmare. And this gentleman here that posted this video showing me hands-on what it looks like from the very source, the water situation of the Colorado. I mean, I always thought that the water just naturally pooled from creeks and brooks and started to combine their power, and they just started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then as all these creeks and brooks combined, it hits at a certain point, and then that collective force starts the Colorado, and then the Colorado starts to flow out west. But I'm seeing here, before any of that water even has a chance to make it to the Colorado, it's being caught, diverted, and sent to other places. And I'm just asking myself, as the population of Colorado grows and the demand of water in Colorado grows, are they actually tapping and pulling more water away at the source before it ever has a chance to get where it's got to go? And is this a contributing factor as to why we're having less and less water flow in the Colorado River? Because there's parts of the Colorado River, man, I followed it through Google Maps, and I've traced it, you know, just watching Google Earth, I mean, and I've just been scrolling and scrolling, and there's literally parts of the Colorado River that breaks off and splits off, and you could actually walk across the Colorado River, and the water shouldn't be no more than up to your knee to your waist, and you could actually walk right across the Colorado. You know, so it's not just humongous whitewater rafting torrent of water the whole way. No, some areas are just little teeny streams that don't even look like much more than just a little creek, you know, and they think that that's the water that carved the Grand Canyon. But yeah, man, this is all news to me, and something that I had to take put some attention to, because if you want the answers, man, you got to ask the right questions, you know. And you know me, I have a telecommunications and an automotive background, and generally speaking, when there's a malfunction in your car, let's just say your window regulator doesn't work, we normally check the window regulator for power. Is that unit that's failing getting power? If it's not, you have to backtrack to where the power is. And why did the power stop at that point and not get to where it's going? And it's no different than a river system. You know, if the river system is low and not enough water is getting to a dam, you got to just keep backtracking and finding out at what point is there a clog, a stoppage, or some type of diversion in the actual river. And funny enough, I see that the diversion is actually in the at the source. Yeah. So what say you guys, man? What do you guys think? Do you think that maybe Department of Reclamation and you know, the fight between the people in Colorado wanting to get the water to flow over to the eastern side and being kept in Colorado versus letting that water flow out to the west? Do you think that that's being part of the problem here, why the Colorado River is low? I'd like to hear your thoughts, man. Put them down below, man. I like to read and hear what's going on with you guys. I don't know, man. I mean, this could just be speculation, but I find it very interesting nevertheless. But anyways, guys, that's all the time that I got for you right now on this little issue of is the water being manipulated? Is it being diverted? You know, and being the fact that the federal government has their hands on the controls at the source, it makes me leery as to this water being low. Is it being manipulated? Is it being planned? Do they want this to happen? You know, I mean, it is plausible, and it's just a question. So anyways, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. It's hot. I need to get back out and out of this clothes and get back into my house and some AC. And anyways, guys, if you found this information beneficial, useful in any ways, please do me a kindness, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't done so already, so I can get my videos out to you in a timely manner. I'm Joey, you're watching Vegas D-Tech. You guys be well. See you guys soon. Take care.